this is a very, very important and historic time for the Tampa Bay Rays. And as many of you know, over the weekend, the Tampa Bay Times, who was completely complicit in this endeavor to send half of our baseball games to Montreal. I think the Times realizes now that there's never going to be a stadium in St. Petersburg. And I think a lot of what's going on here is their long history of championing the city of St. Petersburg, which is fine, and being somewhat anti-Tampa. Obviously, the long rivalry with the Tampa Tribune, which they bought up and closed. And so now we have one voice in terms of newspapers in this town, and it's very much they've towed the line with Stu the entire way. They've done his bidding the entire way. And this is the latest, an opinion piece, a letter that was clearly fashioned by the Rays. And what was shocking to me is the amount of powerful businessmen that have signed on to this. It was shocking, to be quite honest with you. And I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's the same blah, blah, blah. We can't, this is not a market, despite what they said in 2018 when they championed the Ybor ballpark of it all being the perfect market, a great place. And that was before our population exploded from COVID. So this market has only got more attractive, but suddenly, they came up with this idea that they can make a lot more money and, be the first to ever do this sister city thing. Of course, Stu always wants to be the smartest guy in the room, but some of your ideas aren't that smart, Stu. And this one has not been well thought out. And we won't get into the ins and outs of the sister city plan. We do that a lot. So I'm trying to stick exactly to what these latest developments are, kind of tell you what I think is going on in the background, and I'll move it forward for you. So this letter basically is saying that we can't support, we're not a big enough market to support a baseball team full season, which is complete hooey and completely made up, has no data points whatsoever from the Rays. This is simply a scheme for them to make a ton more money. And it's all about TV contracts. They want a TV contract in Montreal. They want a Canadian French TV contract as well. And they want a TV contract here, which makes them a ton of money. This has nothing to do with being able to come up to payroll in the middle of the pack. They could already do that. They make enough money to do it. They choose not to. This is all a money grab by Stu Sternberg. And what he has successfully done is told these people privately that if they don't get their sister city plan, he's going to move the franchise entirely, whether it's to Montreal or Nashville or someplace else. He's basically telling them privately that this is what's going to happen. So if you want to keep your Rays, if you want to be a leader in Tampa Bay and do something good for your community, then you got to go along with my scheme here of half city. But I don't think that these businessmen realize this is a false choice. It's a false narrative. Stu Sternberg alone does not have the power to do that. It has to be approved by Major League Baseball owners who right now, Stu went up to the owners meeting and made this big presentation to get the territorial rights and all this. And you know what they said? They said no. Now, the Times would make you believe, and Manfred's quote said, well, we have a lot of things going on with the CBA, so we're going to table this for now. Well, if it was not an option, then why would they have him come up there and do the presentation if they were just going to table it anyway? So that makes no sense. The owners are not on board with this because they don't want to take away a possible expansion market in Montreal, would make them a couple $1 billion in franchise fee that they all split up. They would get nothing if Stu takes that territory. So why would the other owners be interested? These other owners who are now pissed off to find out that Stu has $500 million, allegedly, that we learned from this lawsuit, that he put into another company, and they're still giving him $60 and $70 million a year in revenue sharing money. They're pissed off at that. So the tide is, in my opinion, turned against Sternberg in this way, and I don't think he's going to get the approval. And part of this scheme right here, Major League Baseball has told him, you got to get more support for this. So this is what he's done, and he's telling these people privately that he's going to move the team. Now, again, they don't understand that it's not up to just Stu. The Major League Baseball Players Association has to sign off on this, and there's no signs that they will ever do so. And when it really comes down to it, I guarantee you they're not. And the owners are not going to give up a big chunk of that, one of their leverage points like this to allow a sister city plan. For what? For Stu? They get nothing out of it. If I have to give up something to allow it. So none of this makes sense from a Major League Baseball standpoint. And Major League Baseball does not want to leave this market. So this idea that Stu's going to leave if he doesn't get his sister city plan is false. It's a false choice. Major League Baseball does not want him to leave this market. They know this is a thriving and exploding market. There's no reason for them to do that. So I think what's going on here is, and I know a lot of you fans are pissed off and you want to boycott these companies. That's not the way to go about it. It's not the way to go about it. I've spoken with some of these guys this weekend by text, and I'm basically telling him what I'm telling you, that you're getting hoodwinked here. And this is a false narrative. But by you signing on to this, you're giving it more life, and you're actually not being a good community player. But we're not going to boycott their businesses. These are great men. Richard Godsmart, so many of these folks that I know, they're great men. They want what's best for Tampa Bay. And right now they think this is the only way, and it's not. So we got to calm down a little bit. We're not boycotting anybody's businesses. This is Tampa Bay. We're all in this together. We just have to come together. Now, I know that sounds like, JP, we can't play nice. Okay, I get that. But what we have to do as a fan group is organize and mobilize. Okay, we've got to show these companies. We're not going to threaten boycott, but we're going to show them and say, listen, we think what you're doing is anti-Tampa Bay, very much anti-Tampa Bay. They think what they're doing is pro-Tampa Bay because they've been hoodwinked with these false narratives. And they're smart guys, and I get it. But they believe Stu can do this, and I don't think he can. It's just my opinion. I'm not saying I'm smarter than them. I'm just saying that I think that if we as a fan base stand up, and I mean, look, there are hundreds of thousands of Rays fans that do not want to see this half season, and we've got to mobilize and organize. I would like to do a march in Ybor City, march down the streets of Ybor City. We'll get together on a Saturday or a Sunday, and we'll plan this out. I've spoken to Ken Hagan about this. He's going to come on the show this week. He gave me some feedback in that and said, yes, we do need to mobilize. We do need to hear from the fans, no doubt about it, but the timing has got to be right. And this is what I'm going to say about the timing. And here's the other little tidbit. Stu Sternberg does not want to publicly say that if he doesn't get to Sister City, he's going to move the team. He's telling everybody this in private. That's what a lot of these big private meetings are of these, there's a group that gets together and does lunch of all these powerful men. The Rays spoke to them, and they said, this is not for public consumption. This is my opinion, okay? That this is not for public consumption, but we don't want to threaten that we're going to leave because that would really turn things off. But that's exactly what they're doing. So, and Ken is, there's Mayor Castor and Ken Hagan, and that whole group is going to present two plans, one that for full season and one for half season. And here's the devil in the details, folks. What it's going to cost for a half season is almost as much as a full season. Okay? I've been telling you this for a while. This whole idea of a boutique stadium being so much less, that, again, false narrative. You're basically going to have to spend just as much money for a half-season ballpark to make it major league ready as you would for a season. Now, you might say, we have to have a retractable roof for a full season. That's debatable, folks. That's debatable. I know a lot of you don't want to sit in the heat and blah, 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 blah. But that's debatable. And I think, would we rather have a covered one? Sure. But I like real grass, personally. I think it's a big part of baseball, and I know you can have grass on an indoor stadium. I know we can do that. That is a lot more expensive, but a lot more. Relatively speaking, it's $6 to $7 million more a year, which is not a whole lot of money over 30 years. But I don't want to get bogged down in that discussion. The bottom line is these political leaders are going to have to make a choice, and they're going to say, well, we're going to spend $300-400 million of hotel tax money and other money, not general fund money, for this baseball stadium for 40 dates, which is now, by the way, been set 35 dates. And that whole ridiculousness. Look, whatever you put in that place, whether it be a truck pull or whatever, is not going to bring the revenue of a Major League Baseball game. Right? RV shows don't do that. Platoon shows don't do that. Christmas shows don't do that. It's a Major League Baseball game. It's a whole different level of revenue for the ballpark and the surrounding areas. So the half season just makes no sense, and it's not going to work because it's going to alienate the fans. And this is another thing that these business leaders don't understand. You're going to build a stadium and nobody's going to come because nobody's going to give a crap about the Rays. Because once you abandon your city, nobody's going to give a crap about the Rays, especially when they get bad. And you're going to have an empty stadium there, as opposed to doing it full stadium, full season, and you entire support of everybody moving in the right direction. This half season will never be a winning play emotionally for the fans. Never. They'll always have another excuse not to go. We hate the owner. He stuck us with this half season crap. I'm a Lightning fan. I'm a Bucks fan. They stayed here full time. Screw this guy. Trust me, it ain't going to work. And this is what a lot of people don't understand. The fans will not go. So this is only to benefit Stu Sternberg. That said, we have to mobilize and we have to organize. So I'm going to be putting out a lot of stuff on social media. Look, the Times is against us. 620 WDAE is against us. They have the powerful media players. I get it. They're all going to fall in line in lockstep. But the people, the fans, are overwhelmingly against this. And if we have our voices organized and heard, we will win. Because in the end, it's your vote, Jane Castor, Ken Hagan. And they know this. It's your vote that's going to keep them in office. And if you folks, all these 40 men they're very powerful businessmen and they can donate to campaigns, I get that. But in the end, it's your vote. And if the county commission and Jane Castor and the politicians understand that if they spend $400 million of public money for a half stadium, they're out. We will not stand for that. So ultimately, you, the fan and the voter, has the power. But you have to be heard. You got to get off your ass and do something collectively. We can't have 10 people show up at a rally, 150 people show up at a rally. We need thousands to make a statement. So are you with me? Or not me? Are you with us? I'll happily be the point person for this. I'll happily be a person behind the scenes, but I've been talking about this for a decade. And we're so close to getting this done in the right way. We cannot let this little setback derail us. We have to be vigilant. We have to be heard. We have to organize, and the message has to get through to the mayor and every politician. If you go along with this scheme that benefits nobody but Stuart Sternberg, listen, if he wants a half season, he can pay for the whole goddamn thing himself. All right? You want to that would be, if I'm Jane Castor and Ken Hagan, here's the full season plan, okay? This is how we're going to do this. Here's the half season plan. You pay for it. There's your plan. Go ahead. We'll give you a little infrastructure. Maybe we'll give you a little bit of land at a cheaper price, but everything else, it's on you. You know what he's going to say to that? Oh, suddenly the sister city plan doesn't look so good. Doesn't look so good. And then maybe he moves his team. But folks, listen, honestly, I'm down to the point. Do you want 35? And that's what it's going to end up being, 35 regular season games. Do you? No playoffs? You get spring training where you can see number 72 pitch? No, screw that. No, we're not doing it.